we adopt in Nigeria? Now, I'm going to juxtapose us as a country, as a nation, right, to what is regarded as one of the best, about 2 or 3 years ago, is regarded as the 4th best democracy on the planet, Switzerland. Now, Switzerland has been a democracy for a very long time. In fact, the ancient people who were there, who got conquered I say conquered, yes, because that's how it happened, by the then Roman Empire. They were annexed into the Roman Empire. There was a lot of Germanic influences. And then sometime in the late 19th century, or the middle of the 19th century, that's 18-something, what we know as, Switzerland, in its current situation, formed. Direct democracy. Now, what is interesting about Switzerland is that the Swiss people believe in live and let live. They don't, have wars with people. They stay neutral on the global stage. They've built their money as being the world's bank. That's why, the World Bank is in Switzerland, right? There are so many banks in Switzerland. They are basically the yardstick, when it comes to economic stability and economic nuance on this planet, right? But it is also the model for industrialization, right, and development. Some of the fanciest and most unheard of hotels are in Switzerland. There's some very beautiful results that you don't get to hear about. They don't advertise, but they're making their money quietly. Why? Because royalties get there. The queens and princesses and kings in Europe visit there regularly. They don't have signboards to say, oh, this is where we are. Some of these places even have their water, from natural streams for centuries. That's what they've been drinking all this while. And the reason why this is so is because it is a very stable political system. Very stable. Now, somebody who was here in Nigeria a while ago, he's a doctor, he's a brother friend of mine, said one of the problems that we have, and I overheard Canada saying this to you yesterday in the morning, with politics we practice, it's all about personal interest. How that is, they're not permanent enemies, but permanent interests, something like that. And when I sat down and started to read a little bit about political, juggernauts and the Machiavellian stories, with the upheavals in Europe, the revolutions, industrial and all the other forms, I remember what we were before. The stories, what history told us about what the African communities, what the African kingdoms were. There were fights, don't get me wrong. There was also a form of government, don't get me wrong. It was mainly monarchical, just the same way most of Europe was, or most of the earth was about 2 centuries ago. But you see, now that a lot of people have now embraced democracy, is it really the best form that we are in, talking about democracy? Because if we see what the Swiss do, what the Dutch do, there is a sense that we are here to represent the people so that the people can live decent lives. The French, for example, when I say the French, I'm talking about the French government, they've had histories of upheavals. They are afraid of the people. If Emmanuel Macron, like he did sometime last year, increases the rate of something, in about 2 or 3 days or maybe weeks or something, you'll see the streets flooded with protesters. How dare you? Blah, 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 blah. The question is, are the people really benefiting from whatever it is that you're doing? But this notion that here in Nigeria, we practice a politics of personal gains begs the question. So let's say my personal gain or my personal interest is to see only my people thrive. I would do anything to make sure that only the people from Trophy or the people from Adebabri or from Sagama or from Ngeni, Udu, grandmothers from Sokwe, those states, only those people will do well. That's politics of self-interest, isn't it? But we have in Nigeria, outside Nigeria, who take the political game, if I can call it, level for job fit. What type do you think we are practicing in Nigeria? What type should we adopt? The politics of selfish interest or the politics of conscience?
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeriainfo.
Zero 017-923-0002, 0817923-0003, 0817923-0002, 0817923-0003. All right, at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH, right, is where you'll find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH, right, is where you'll find us on Facebook and on X. All right, WhatsApp is 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. Right? Now, if you put the federal government in charge of the Sahara Desert, in 5 years, there'll be a shortage of sand. Milton Friedman. So let's talk politics. Nigeriainfo, good morning. Hello, Port Harcourt. Hello, good morning. Hi, good morning.
Yes, you. This Monday morning, maybe it's my topic. Okay. For me, Nigeria here is policy of me and my family.
That's selfishness, isn't it?
If I take an example for what happened when Trump won the contest and the former president won the contest, the former president party said that, okay, elsewhere they are not sound. Step down for social to contest. It is in Nigeria here. You, the party person that said that thing says, they will even suspend you or lock you in Nigeria here. That is an insult to a sitting president. So they know that elsewise they are not strong. Here in Nigeria, they will even pad you till you will fail or you survive. It's just for their own interest. They don't want to know what the masses are facing. But in US that we are practicing, so that we are following US, they think of the masses before their own personal interest. But here in Nigeria, when they give you the appointment, me, your younger brother, the first thing that will come into my mind, I don't hammer.
But you know, I think we have a very false, or maybe a painted, a glossed over version of the politics in America. The politics in America is dirty. The politics in America is filled with lies. The politics in America can be very aggressive. However, like I agree with you that the people eventually will say, okay, we want to go left or we want to go right. And if they don't like left, they will always come back. So the question is, which one should we adopt in this country? What type of politics? Politics of conscience? Political, like you could say, me, myself, and my family. Which one are we doing right now? Which one should we do?
We are talking of politics of conscience, but the politicians don't have conscience. Somebody will sign that's going to give a Madiama those amount of money and pad it without conscience, and the thing not even get a Madiama. They don't have conscience now. That's what we are saying. We are talking of conscience. The politicians, ask them, they have conscience. Look at what is going on. That conscience, they will increase price. Okay, in a civilized country, you want to increase price, they must make sure that the masses are fully aware. But here, they will sit down in one conference room and increase price and say that the masses will help with you. You tell me the truth. Since this year, maybe you plan that every month you spend 20,000 naira for solo thing. Are you spending 20,000? You're spending more than 20,000 naira. The police are care. Most of them, I must say this. Most of them, the telecommunication companies, they are giving them airtime, so they don't even care what you are facing through. They don't have conscience. Their own conscience is when they want you, they'll come and sit down with you and shop akara with you. They are coming with you in a ghetto area. After that time, they
go away.
You cannot even see the roof of their house. They don't have conscience.
All right. Okonkwo is on the line from Umukuta. Koko, good morning to you.
Good morning, bro. Jude.
Good morning.
Happy New Monday from the Almighty God.
Wish you the same, please.
Yes, Brother Jude. Your question was, what type of politics should we play?
Should we adopt?
Politics of interest or politics of conscience? Go more than that. The politics you're supposed to play here supposed to be a politics of general interest. Because politics of general interest will cause government to give us daily life. Because daily life will favor all.
Okay. All right. Congo, apologies. I don't think that's from our end because the lines are still green. All right. So most likely a drop call scenario. Maybe from I don't know. I don't want to cast aspersions, but I must apologize. All right. So please do try and call us back 0809 030 6416 0809 030 6416. All right, now let me quickly read this message on WhatsApp and I'll get back to the phone line. So I have a break coming up very shortly. Jude, I have always been of the opinion that democracy is not for Africa. We are peculiar and our situation is different. We are peculiar. The Swiss and French that you mentioned, they are a real nation. What do I mean? A nation can be defined, in my opinion, as people that share a common heritage and ethnicity. France is for French people, ethnically French, or German is for German people. Two, people who agree to come together, like the US. I could go on, but no time. Our case is different. We were forced to come together by the British, and who didn't care about our tribal peculiarities or anything like that. You cannot expect people to act without selfish interest in this situation now, especially Nigeria with 3 tribes and hundreds of minority tribes. I think we need to stop saying 3 major tribes. No, maybe popular, but they're not major. Because the population these days, right, is comparable. Now I move on. I always say what we need is a benevolent dictator, kind of like a king, right? But we have passed that. you. But before we do that, we're talking about politics. And I asked the question, what sort of engagements should we adopt, politically speaking, as Nigerians? Kada yesterday was talking about, people being permanent interest. That's what we do. Politics of permanent interest. There is no permanent enemy in politics, particularly in Nigerian politics. And I have to say this, right? I'm sure a lot of you know that the multi-party system that we have in this country apparently just seems to show the underbelly of many of these quote-unquote politicians. Because in the UK, for example, and in Europe, those with political ideologies, right, are usually very, very stuck in their difference with their other rivals. So whether you're Tory, whether you're Lib Dems, whether you're Labour, whether you're Conservative, your ideologies, are very distinct. It's very rare to find somebody who was a Lib Dem switching over to Labour. I no longer do. But here we see it every day. We change our political flags as often as we change our undergarments. We are rife with change. Change is good, in the manner of speaking. George Bernard Shaw said, the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it is taking place. A lot of these politicians tell us something. A lot of the people are expecting to hear something. One way or the other, it seems as though communication has happened. But then again, you have the people coming back to make complaints about the same thing that they complained during the electionary cycle. So what should we do? What type of politics should we, quote unquote, be playing? And speaking of playing, the very famous parliamentarian Winston Churchill said, politics is not a game, it is an earnest business.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk.
Hello, Port Harcourt, with Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
So 017-923-0002, 0817923-0007, 0817923-0002, 0817923-0007. All right, at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you'll find us on Facebook and on X, at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. We're talking about politics and its aim. The aim of politics is for representation so that the general well-being of our people can be met. But my question this morning is this: what type of political engagements should we then adopt in Nigeria? We have the multi-party system, and I think it's a pretty good system. However, it's the why, or is it the whys behind the system that are in question this morning? WhatsApp 0809-030-6416. This one says, Jude, have you looked at how we even started all these policies and politicians and parties in Nigeria? Our ideology was ethnicity, Northern People's Congress, Action Group, and the NCNC. What do you think will happen? We need a dictator, really, or a Gaddafi with Nelson Mandela's hat to change things. Once again, it sounds it sounds ideological, and that's the most we can get. But if history has taught anything, is that most people with absolute power really run their kingdoms or their countries to the ground. At some point, there's always going to be someone who wants to have an upheaval, which is why this system, this institution of succession of power makes sense. Now, the system is not what is the problem. It's the people running the system. It's the method of application. So which one do we do? Here we keep talking about, okay, politics of interest. All right, so which type of politics should we do? Muriel in Okrika, good morning.
Thank you, Jude.
Good morning, please.
No, Jude, politics and let's say, should I put it, governance and conscience. No, they're asking if we should adopt, if we should look at just allow people to lead with their conscience. If we can make leadership easier. That's how. But for me, and this topic is similar to what I and Canada were talking. The topic Canada brought up yesterday.
I was listening. I was listening.
You cannot miss man to his conscience. No, you cannot. You cannot just assume that a person will just do something out of his good heart and then just do good. Because even God that created this man said the heart of this man that he created is desperately wicked. So every man, not every man do, but for the ones we've tested, we've seen that as they get there, even a man that is good, that was good before he got there, all of a sudden he lost his conscience. Just similar to the 10 o'clock news. A man that was good, all of a sudden he joined the police and he has lost his conscience. So we should not allow people to lead with their conscience. There should be laws. And which should be the institutions, Jude. Just like every other democracy. Switzerland, just like you mentioned, is prospering because they have a stable and a functional institution. But you know that everybody knows that the law and the law of cause and respect is very, very paramount. Whatever you do, there is an effect. There is an adequate consequence. You should just know. So if leaders know that when they do corruption, and then when you come out, or why do you sit there? That's why I don't really like this immunity clause, because it has given
interesting.
The leverage to do as much corruption, any evil as much as well, but nobody can sue them. But I don't think that should be. It shouldn't be. So we should not leave leaders to leave their conscience. We should be strict on institutions and the law of cause and respect. Whatever you do, whether you're a president or you're a governor, you can't be sued. And then you come out and face the consequences, irrespective of your position. That's my stand.
Okay.
Don't leave one to his conscience. Guide him. Let him be guided by the law of the land.
Not just by conscience. So the politics of selfish interest or interest, there's comma. Those who are guided by a conscience, well, but what if their conscience is not telling them to do the right thing? So the law. So who then decides the law? Zion, on the line from Jerry. Oh dear. Interesting quotes I just saw. Listen to this, please. 90% of the politicians give the other 10% a bad reputation. Let me say that again. 90% of the politicians give the other 10% a bad reputation. That means 90% of them are bad. Did you get that? Harry Kissinger said that. 93, good morning. Hello, Port Harcourt.
Yeah, Mr. Zion.
Good morning.
From Port Harcourt. A local adage said that if you put the hammer in the arms of a child, everything on the spot becomes nail, including Mr. Jude's leg. The question is not the kind of government we practice, or the kind of people we are practicing the kind of government we found ourselves. Former Governor, Right Honorable Rotimi Amechi said, and I quote, "It is poverty that brought me into politics." And nobody has contested that quote, which means it is true. So if he can convincingly such a quote publicly, not once, not twice, then which means over 90% of our politicians today went into politics because they were poor and jobless. Now put money into the hands of a poor man. That is when you will know its true nature. It's not the kind of government we practice, but the kind of people managing that kind of government. A lot of our politicians today go and check their background. Who are their parents? My father told me something growing up as a child. The only way you can be part of a decision maker in this community, you must read your books. You must have a job. Have your own money so that you don't touch community's money.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, all the politicians we have here, mention how many of them have their own money before they went into politics, including our former governor. Some of them have been in governance for 20 years, 23 years, 10 years. They have never set out a policy to change the narrative of their people. What do you think is the problem? Is it a democracy? No, sir. It is the kind of person. When we started this 1999 democracy, I was very sad after the election. Because 80% of the people that became governor, president, or whatever, they were once into politics of this country. So what happened that they could not develop the country and military took over before another military handed it over to civil rule? What happened? They all have questionable character. Are you not surprised that it's only in Nigeria EFCC boss is being found to be corrupt?
It's not only in Nigeria. I have to say this. Even in America, there've been cases against FBI agents. There've been cases against senators. There've been cases even against a president.
The more we keep comparing, it is happening there. It is happening there. We'll keep doing it here. And please, can we stop this narrative? It's making some of us look like the reason we went to school just to go and disturb ourselves. What is the essence of you going to school? It's not for you to make a difference. I did not go to school or get certificate or get educated because I'm looking for a job. So I'm saying this. If it's only reason I went to the university is for me to graduate and get a job, I would have been the most miserable person here on earth. You must go to school to change your dynamic of life.
Hello. Oh dear. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That was Zion. Daniel is on the line from Imogate. Daniel, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, my brother Jude.
Good morning, please.
Chinke Daniel Imogate Oswako.
Welcome.
My brother, on the topic we are discussing, can't you see? It's only Yaradua of blessed memory that said the process that brought me to office is wrong. How many other politicians, upon all they do, how many has been able to say that is because if we are talking about corruption, how did you get into office as a politician? It's only that man that said the process that brought me to office is not correct. And if we are other people, even if they have about maybe 5% like him, they would have got a situation whereby you find yourself in the multitude. There is nothing actually you can do. Yes, when you are okay, I'm a Christian, let me get there. When you get there, they will contaminate you. And you become, it is either you join them or you walk out. Let me tell you the truth, my brother Jude. Many are not politicians today because they don't care how much or whatever. They want to maintain those who want to keep their integrity intact. When they go to maybe Europe, they play politics, but not the fact we do here in Nigeria.
So that's the question. So the type that we do that you don't like, what should we do to change it? Which one do you want us to now do?
How to change it?
No. Which one? Which type of politics should we do? If it's a politics of selfishness, somebody said if it's selfish, there's problem.
You do hear me comment on air when I used to say that the military, they are better. If they like, let them come here and carry me. The military don't have military administrator, that is a governor, don't have deputy. They just pick one or two commissioners. That is why the finance were working. They just go slow to Enugu. These people now bank them up in the name of what we call politics or politicians or whatever they call themselves. Gather themselves from local government to state government to national. They are our lawmakers. Are they not the ones that will make laws that can say, let us have one national assembly? But when in Nigeria will you see that kind of people as lawmakers? Because we have bad economy. But they are driving SUVs, sports cars, giving to their cronies, calling assistants, how many thousand assistants? We are celebrating democracy.
All right, I know. But let's also not forget what history taught us about despots and, sadly speaking, the military juntas across the globe, particularly in Africa and also in Asia. Many of their reigns, many of them were not successful. In fact, they were retrogression. Yes, some of them made, inroads and maybe even a market, level of development in some infrastructure or maybe some segment. But overall, that adage of absolute power corrupts absolutely, always panned out. Checks and balances are needed. So now that we have a system of checks and balances, the question is, maybe Zion is right. Maybe it is the people who are in the system that, we need to start to checkmate. But if it's the people who are in the system, let me say this, if it's really the people who are in the system, the people came from us. We understand this already. There are cousins, there are uncles, there are aunties. There are brothers, there are sisters. They are us. They are us. So when you keep complaining, the question is, would you readily speak against your uncle, your brother, who sends all of you bags of gari during Christmas and rice? Oh, it's rice that we like, by the way. This politics of interest. The politicians, listen, the local government chairman and the whatnot, all of them with their machinations, all of them with their plans, all of them trying to be a Machiavelli of their own time, all of them trying to make, it's a chess game. Once again, I may not like, personally, forgive me, I may not like Winston Churchill, but he does have a good point in the quote. Politics is not a game. It's very serious business, because you are literally determining the way a people would live, the language that they will speak, the thought process that they will employ. Good morning, Jude. The sign is right when it says that it's about the type of people that we are. We have a mindset of politics of selfishness. Trump is a millionaire, and when he got into a presidency, he donated his salary to different causes. Now, our president came in as a millionaire, but he's still collecting Nigerian money. Are you sure? Tinubu said he didn't say that he was collecting salary, if you remember, right? So he's a millionaire. So why does he still need the little money Nigeria pays him? But once again, we're veering off the real issue. We're veering off the real issue. It's not whether the person is collecting salary. It's the person doing what you want him or her to do. politics is a very interesting game. But like Winston said, it's not a game, it is serious business. People start to treat it as such. Let's wrap up. 0809 030 6416. 0809 030 6416. All right. That's for WhatsApp. Calling. I think I can take one more call. Can I? I just have a minute left. A minute and 30 seconds. All right. 0817-923-0002. 0817-923-0003. All right. Alex here says, Jude, I laugh when people always compare us to America, the UK. Jude, there are selfish people everywhere. The reason why some politicians win those elections because they let their greed come into play. They manage it and they use ingenious ways to appear appealing to the general public. Let's not be deceived. There's nobody, and I say this very clearly, Jude, there's nobody that comes into politics without trying to have his or her own personal ambition. Yes, we'll consider they can work for the good of the people, but there's a personal drive to it. And if you do not have that drive, you cannot succeed. However, what is happening here is you have people who want the drive to only stay relevant and not to work for the people. Alex. There's a selfish drive to every politician, right? Why would you want to come out? We have this line that we use a lot in this country. Oh, your people called you to come and lead them. Oh, you don't want to. Your people called you. They called you because of poor. Yeah, and you get there. People don't even know. Let me ask you as well. I federal levels or